1-6. That's the Red Raiders' road record with Joey McGuire as head coach. Can they get their first road victory of the year in conference play? It'll be no easy task up against a lot of familiar faces for Joey McGuire and crew out in Waco against the Baylor Bears. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And in today's video, we've got a game preview between two teams trying to get back to 500 in the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Baylor Bears. Before we get into today's video, all I ask you to do is simply like the video or subscribe. Either one. We're giving you daily Texas Tech videos here on the channel, whether that's game previews, film breakdowns, recaps, instant analysis, whatever it is. We've got you covered for everything Texas Tech football all year long right here on the most engaging and fastest growing Texas Tech YouTube channel. Of course, I'm talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel. And speaking of engaging, we want to hear from you guys. Who you got winning this one? For Texas Tech at Baylor. Again, two teams trying to get back to 500. Let me know your record prediction, or score prediction, I guess I should say, down in the comments below. All right, let's set the scene a little bit. As again, we head out to Waco to the Red Raiders. It'll be at McLane Stadium in Waco, right there on the river. I call it the toilet seat because, well, it looks like one. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 p.m. at McLane Stadium, and it'll be on ESPN2. All right, let's talk about the history of Texas Tech and Baylor. This is actually going to be the 82nd all-time meeting between the two schools, and it's actually really, really close when you look at the record all-time. 41, 39, and 1. The Baylor Bears actually hold the advantage in this one. Texas Tech also boasts one of the longest-running active games with Baylor in the Big 12, right? We're talking about all the way back to 1956, dating back to their time in the Southwest Conference, right? This will be the first time, though, that Texas Tech plays a night game in Waco since before 2000, just barely, 1999, where the Red Raiders actually beat the Baylor Bears 35-7 at Floyd Casey Stadium. Now, other things you need to know going into this one: Baylor ranks 13th in the Big 12 in terms of rush yards per game given up. Also, following his hire at Texas Tech, I thought this was fitting. Baylor's 13th in rushing yards allowed per game. Joey McGuire actually has 13 coaches with connections to Baylor. When he got hired, obviously from the Baylor staff to Texas Tech, he brought 13 staffers along with him. Now, there's a wide variety of those, including coaches, supporting staff members, whatever it may be. They're either Baylor grads or they have experience coaching at Baylor. So really found that interesting right there. But let's jump into the players to watch and the injuries in this one. Before we do that, though, be sure to like the video. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. Really fun engaging with y'all each and every day, talking Texas Tech football, Big 12 football, whatever it may be, whether that's with Lyle or with y'all down in the comments. Really goes a long way in helping support the channel. So be sure to like the video. All right, injuries in this one, and then we'll get into players to watch. Jacob Rodriguez, he will be out for Texas Tech with a foot injury, but he is working his way back, and Joey McGuire said that he could be back as early as next week against Kansas State. Duda Banks will be back for this one, according to Joey McGuire. Much needed depth on that D-line for the Red Raiders. As for players to watch, you can see them at the bottom of your screen. Obviously, we're going to talk about Behren Morton in this one. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's just on the players to watch for Texas Tech probably all year long due to that AC joint injury that he will be really working his way through for the entire season, because he's not going to get the rest that he needs to actually really heal that injury up, right? So you're going to see him not take as many snaps during the week. Jake Strong took a lot of them last week before the Houston game. I expect the same this week. And Behren Morton will come out in guns a-blazing on Saturday. Now, the one guy to watch on the Texas Tech offense is obviously Taj Brooks for the Baylor fans watching this one. Brooks enters this game top 10 in the FBS in rushing yards this season with 518. He is the engine that makes the Texas Tech offense go. And, well, you're going to see a lot of him on Saturday, specifically behind that offensive line for Texas Tech that has actually done a better job in the run blocking department than in pass protection. Next, we're going to talk about the Texas Tech pass rush. Well, if they had one, will this be the week that they show up? We're talking about halfway through the season now, people. This is the halfway mark in Waco. You're 2-3. Can your pass rush show up and actually make things difficult for Blake Shapen and crew? We'll see. It's got to happen this week. Hopefully, this is the week that Steve Linton actually decides to show up and doesn't do a preemptive spin move with air. But hey, it is what it is. They have to show up in this one if you're Texas Tech. Now, on the Baylor side of things, it starts with Blake Shapen. Blake Shapen missed a couple games. He's back, and he was one of the main reasons that they came back and had that historic comeback last week against UCF down in Orlando, scoring 26 unanswered in the fourth quarter to beat the Golden Knights down at the Bounce House. Simply unreal. He is the guy that really makes this thing go for Baylor offensively. Now, he's got some other guys with him on the offense that are dangerous weapons, and that starts in the backfield with a duo that really is one of the best in the Big 12 in Richard Reese and Dominic Richardson. Now, Reese is the clear-cut RB1. This is a similar situation to what Texas Tech has with Taj Brooks and Cameron Valdez, except Dominic Richardson has a little bit more experience than Cameron Valdez. Reese is the clear-cut RB1, right? But Richardson gets quite a bit of work as well. He had 10 carries last week against UCF to Richard's 16, right? So we're going to see both of them out of there, but Richard Reese is a guy that is one of the best running backs in the Big 12 and someone that the Red Raiders have to take seriously. Now, on the Baylor Bears defense, you got Matt Jones, the linebacker. He leads Baylor with total tackles with 33 on the year, but in the secondary, you've got Devin Bobby, second on the team in tackles, and a guy that can really come down and play at all three levels if need be for Dave Aranda in that Baylor Bear defense. The must-watch matchup in this one, though, is simply put the Texas Tech offensive line versus the Baylor defensive line. I already mentioned it. Again, 13th in rushing yards allowed are the Baylor Bears in the Big 12 this year. If Texas Tech can continue with that momentum that they've built up on the offensive line, specifically in the run game, this could be a long day for Blake Shapen, Dave Aranda, and the Baylor Bears, because we know what Taj Brooks brings to the table, right? Now you got Cameron Valdez back. Now you've got Nehemiah Martinez as well. You've got options in that backfield if you're Texas Tech, and you can use them in a multitude of ways, right? Whether that's in the RB screen game, whether that's RPO, play action, whatever it may be, right? So that is the matchup I am watching. If Texas Tech offensive line can continue to do what they've been doing in the run game, this could be a very long day for the Baylor Bears. All right, as for the odds in this one, Baylor is 1.5-point favorites. No surprise there with the total over-under currently set at 57.5. My prediction is this: Baylor 31, Texas Tech 30. And listen, don't shoot the messenger on this one. It simply comes down to this. Until proven otherwise, I am not going to take Texas Tech in a road game. Do I think Texas Tech is more talented than Baylor? Probably. But it's a road game. Again, the stat that I opened with, 1-6. Joey McGuire is 1-6 as a head coach on the road. Maybe it's 2-6 after this week, but I can't in good faith pick Texas Tech to win on the road until I see it. Specifically this year, right? I thought they should have won at West Virginia. They didn't. I know this game is going to be close because who is involved in it? Texas Tech. And every game they played in has been close this year. So I think it's going to be a close one, but right now I just can't pick the Red Raiders to win. I think Baylor wins 31-30. Let me know, though, your score prediction down on the pinned comment below. Do you think Texas Tech gets the second road victory of the Joey McGuire era and it have Joey McGuire improve to 2-6 on the road? Or do you think Baylor gets back to 500 and leaves Texas Tech wondering what could have been with two potential road victories in West Virginia and Baylor? I'm RC Maxfield reminding you one more time, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button to join the most engaging and fastest growing Texas Tech community here on YouTube. We're giving you 3 keys to the game, previews just like this one, film breakdown, recaps, and so much more, including all the latest Texas Tech breaking news all year long right here on your one-stop shop for everything Texas Tech football. Of course, I'm talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel.